Right, what's poppin', people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Chelsea news, welcome back. Today we're talking about Mason Mount not missing Chelsea, loving playing at Old Trafford. Does he even play, though? Apparently we're looking at Alonso Davies for a left back. Do I understand? Maybe, not really, but yes please. Maybe a little bit on Lewis Hall and Gary Neville mugging Chelsea off yet again, like he loves to do. But first, a message from our sponsor. Guys, we are now in the digital age, and that means you need a virtual private network. For those of you who do not have a VPN, it's time to get on. Fortunately for you, my friend, my partner Surfshark has got you covered. A VPN is an application that you can apply to all devices that use the internet that essentially moves your recognized location from where you are to somewhere else. There are multiple benefits to this. Being in the digital age, we are all now made vulnerable, and using a VPN can protect your personal data and keep your private browsing private, away from all the bad guys and the man. Keep yourself safe. Many of you on many occasions will have endured media blockage. That's right, you want to watch a piece of content and it's not available in your area. You just simply use Surfshark to move over to an area where it is allowed, takes but seconds, and there it is, waiting for you. I'm very happy Surfshark's my partner because I use it all the time. Personally, I like to use it on Netflix. Certain films and shows come out, usually available in USA, but not in the UK where I'm living. At the click of a button, I can move myself over to the USA, not literally, digitally, and enjoy that content being unlocked. Surfshark are currently running an amazing promotion for Black Friday, where you can get up to 6 months free. Ooh, that's right, if you use my code FOOTBALL or click the link in the top of the description, you can browse the deals and get up to 6 months free, which is just sensational. Come on guys, it's time you catch up and get a VPN. Click the link in the top of the description. Right then, let's get into today's content. Do go check out Surfshark. Click the link in the top of the description. Let's start. Mason Mount, Gary Neville, Lewis Hall, Alonso Davies. Let's start with Gary Neville, the absolute melon. Look, I used to like Gary Neville. I thought he was a good commentator, good pundit. His commentary has just gone downhill. He sort of just became a caricature of himself, of ooh, and just chatting nonsense, not backing down, being a hypocrite. Yes, I've been very vocal on him taking the blood money in Qatar. Look, people have their own opinions on everything, but I think he's just a hypocrite. I don't think anyone's perfect. I'm certainly flawed. There's certainly still entertaining elements of Gary Neville. I like when he has fun on TV with Carragher, and he likes to laugh and stuff. I just think, as a sort of TV personality, pundit, commentator, for me, he's gone downhill. Now, he also slags off Chelsea a lot, so there's your blue tinted glasses perspective. He was really upset when Chelsea, he's mentioned this again, when Chelsea sold Mendy and Koulibaly to Saudi Arabia. Bearing in mind we sold 2 players there to Saudi. Kante was released on a free, and he was like, oh, why are they selling these players to Saudi? We didn't even get that much money for them. It was Koulibaly. We made, after 1 year, we made like 10 million loss on him. Do you know what I mean? And he thought there was all these links, but then they're like, these we report it here on the channel, and there's some news came out that categorically explained how there's no funny business going on between the Chelsea ownership and Saudi Arabia or Clear Lake Capital. He went very quiet then, but he started to whinge about it again, despite being disproven. And on his show, The Overlap, which I think is a great show, he is basically just not giving Chelsea a sniff of a chance. Yeah, when doing predictions for Newcastle Chelsea, everyone seems to think Chelsea will lose. He said Chelsea aren't scoring up there 2-0 to Newcastle. Now look, this is just a prediction, but come the ruddy heck on. We've been good. And generally, if he was actually being a little bit thoughtful about the scenario, Chelsea have been better away from home this season than at home. We played well against the good teams, and you put those two together against the Newcastle, maybe injury crisis, I don't know. I think they're getting some players back now. But come on, mate. I mean, I would just be so pleased. I know this is so petty, and football is pretty petty, right? Wait for the next story. I don't know, man. I just feel like the disrespect. Look, Nkunku could be back. Palmer's soaring high in terms of confidence. Jackson's scoring goals. And I think at home. I know Newcastle can be defensive sometimes, but they've evolved into a good team, and when they're playing at home, the onus will be on them to come out and attack, and I think Chelsea will beat Newcastle in their own backyard. We will do a match preview tomorrow, so keep it locked for that. A good opportunity to remind you to hit the bell notifications icon if you have chosen to subscribe, and always urge you and waft you generally in the direction of liking the video because it helps out the channel. I just think he's clearly, Gary Neville, just got this problem with Chelsea. Even now he's got this problem that, he needs to let go. I don't think he likes how Bowley spent money despite, us breaking no rules. In fact, we've self-reported rule breaking from the previous regime. He doesn't like innovators, he doesn't like change. He just likes taking loads of money from sovereign wealth funds that have nothing to do with football himself. Hypocrite! We are going to talk about actual positive football stuff, what's happened with Lewis Hall, the sale, because we've spoken about that recently. Nizar Kinsella of the Evening Standard has written an article on it, but we will also talk about what Cy Phillips has spoken about Alonso Davies. Alonso Davies, absolute superstar left back, by the way. Kind of like maybe a little bit of the Reece James equivalent on the other side. Maybe not actually, but he's certainly very, very fast and exciting. We'll talk about that, but there's a story that was published on The Athletic about Mason Mount. So Chelsea aggregators have spoken about this on social media, and of course, he hasn't had the best time. Now look, I'll read what this said, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So this is from The Athletic. Speaking to some of those close to Mason Mount, they say that he has been frustrated by the stop-start nature of the first few months at United, but bearing in mind as well, he's made a lot of appearances, hasn't scored. Look, I'm very, very mindful to do this relatively juvenile thing of saying, oh, he's made 20 appearances or no goal or whatever, because obviously it's the same with Rasmus Højlund. He's got 11 Premier League appearances, no goal. I actually think the kid looks pretty good, and he's a sort of victim of what is a really sort of dysfunctional United team. Not entirely, obviously some stuff still his fault. I mean, Højlund also was never he was so raw, he was never an elite gunman that was going to score loads of goals. We bought Nico Jackson in goal scoring form. They didn't really buy Højlund in form. He sort of scored the odd goal here and there, and it was about developing his raw materials, kind of like Jackson in a way as well. So I think it's unfair to whatever, judge him. But Mason Mount has been bad for United, by the way, as well. There's no escaping that. I watch a lot of Man United games. They're, the biggest club in England, inexcapably. I've got so many friends that support Manchester United because I live in the south of England and I'm in my mid-phase. So all my friends are Man United fans. And yeah, I watch a lot of the games, and he has been poor. Now, I'm not saying Mason Mount's bad. He's a very, very, very useful player. He had some great moments in a Chelsea shirt, and he's clearly a very intelligent midfield footballer. But I've lost love for him because he defected to the enemy. We don't have to go over it necessarily, but he went to Man United. His old man's a Man United fan. There's that video of him going, "We're home, we've made it," and all right, mate, freaking made a banner for you, bruv. And this Athletic article that's, getting impressions and likes, but he, quote, loves playing in front of huge crowds, as in, no longer at a little humble Stamford Bridge. He's in the big time now, he's playing in front of massive crowds for, 5 to 7 minutes off the bench. Lol. Sorry, that was petty of me. And he doesn't seem to miss Chelsea anything as some would have imagined, because he's been there since he was 6 years old. He doesn't miss Chelsea at all. He loves playing in front of big crowds. I mean, it's just silly, really, isn't it? But look, of course you're going to try and save face, defend your, pride, maybe. It would be remiss of me not to mention how it's not as cut and dry as he just wanted to leave Chelsea. I think he did want to stay at Chelsea. I think when he found out he wasn't going to be necessarily a prominent feature, I feel like when he found out his contract renewal was probably going to be closer to a Mudryk and an Enzo Fernandez, who both, many Chelsea fans now would be well, they're more naturally gifted than Mount. And Mount wants, 2-3 times as much money as him. It would be churlish of me not to sort of highlight the fact how young players want to make money in their careers. Everyone does, right? And Reece James has got a big contract. You know, his England teammates, he's now since, of course, lost his place in the England squad. But his, you know, he will see that Raheem Sterling, who, you know, plays for England and is on like 300k a week at Chelsea. He just knew that if he goes to, you know, Arsenal or Liverpool or Manchester United, that he'll get paid 250k a week. Because they wanted him. Mason Mount, you know, we got 60 million quid for him when he had 12 months left in his deal, which is pretty wild. But, you know, he's a player that he'd probably be starting games in the, you know, Liverpool midfield. He sort of really does seem like that kind of number 8 that would work, like kind of like a Wijnaldum, you know, in a way, and that hard-working, like Mount's got numbers for us in terms of goals and assists in the league, but it's not really his strength. His strength is being this sort of all-rounder, tactically intelligent, dynamic sort of number 8, where you don't really want to be relying on him to begin goals and assists. You want your striker to do that, or wingers or whatever, and him chipping in. Which is weird because it just doesn't suit Manchester United, because they don't play with number 8s. They play with like a sort of 4-2-3-1, you know, or a very reserved number 8 in a double pivot, which doesn't suit him at all. Ironically, what the system we're playing now probably would have suited him, where Gallagher's playing, but we move. Anyway, I only wanted to talk about it because it's a big story. It's, you know, he was the golden boy. We forgot about it. You know, we were sort of comfortably moved on with the Cole Palmer and, you know, situation of, you know, younger than Mount, will be on significantly less wages than Mount, and is just seemingly much more an offensive threat. And in terms of our midfielders, we just look for more functionality. So it kind of works for us. I mean, in reality, guys, like, I respect the immense quality, respectively, and of don't laugh. Firstly, when people won't laugh at Mateo Kovacic, everyone agrees, good midfielder, I think. Mason Mount, people won't like him or disagree, but I think he's a good midfielder. And I know he's a meme for playing left back for Germany, but Kai Havertz is an extremely talented footballer. Would I take him back? No. But, you know, like, I've got respect for all three. And I think we've done well to get rid of all three of them in hindsight, which absolutely didn't feel like the case for many people across the summer who are in different camps, you know, who like the different players for different reasons. But in hindsight, we recently spoke on the channel about the ownership doing a good job of lowering the wage bill. By the way, you know, maybe not so much Mount because he was on really low wages, but, you know, the other two, they were on super high wages. And not only have we lowered the wage bill because of losses like that, it looks like in terms of player profile, productivity, stylistically, we've done the right thing. You know, we've done the right thing. So you'll get more of this. Oh, I don't care about Chelsea anymore. And also, you know, you'll come back to the bridge. You'll get chance. You know, there's only one twat in Portsmouth, and that other, you know, who's that twat that comes from Portsmouth chant, which I won't chant now. Alrighty then, we will end on the Lewis Hall article because I think that's quite interesting from Nizar Kinsella, because he was an interesting one that we got a lot of money for late doors, but apparently Chelsea are looking at Alonso Davies. Cy Phillips writes, last week I reported and confirmed the news that Chelsea are certainly interested in signing Bayern Munich left-back Alonso Davies in the summer. Woo! Chilwell will not... Vice-captain, by the way. Ben Chilwell will not like the sound of that. But maybe, I don't know, you know, like, right back, Malo Gusto, don't sleep on this guy. He's, 21 years old? Or 20 years old? Is he 20 years old, Malo Gusto? And he's already, like, shown in the Premier can be very good already. And he's already got a senior call up to, I still think, the best international team in the world in France. So, Reece James, Gusto, Davies, Chilwell. I know Cucurella could be like the auxiliary either side. He may stay, he may go. I don't know what's going to happen with Cucurella. But maybe there is a space. I don't want to... Look, man, Chilwell's freaking good. Like, he is. If you're playing in a system where you want your fullbacks to get forward and be offensive, and these days fullbacks invert, obviously look at Trent, but he inverts to a midfielder. Chilwell gets forward and inverts quite literally as a striker and gets in the box and can score loads of goals if you utilise him well. Obviously, it feels really, really dangerous to say play Chilwell with Mudryk up front, but even Alonso Davies. Alonso Davies is so offensive. He does stuff where he just lights up the left-hand flank, and people go, "Ooh!" in the same way Reece James does. As we know, Davies is in a bit of a contract standoff with, of course, Bayern Munich at the moment, and there is no guarantee that he extends and stays there. Chelsea are one of the top clubs closely monitoring the situation and wait for it, sensing an opportunity. My top source, and Cy Phillips, by all accounts, is great information, has given me a little bit more on the story this week, which is always able to deliver here. It's and that's on his Substack if you want to check that out. So yeah, man, Alonso Davies, Canadian international, just one of the fastest players. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine a left-hand side of Alonso Davies and Mykhailo Mudryk? That will be the fastest left-hand side in the world. Imagine that. That'll be incredible. Let me know what you think about Alonso Davies and, you know, in respect to Chilwell and stuff. And let's read this article by Nazar Kinsella on Hall. Hall is his name. That's who we're talking about. Watching from the stands in St James's Park on Saturday, of course, because he won't be able to play because he's currently on loan, Lewis Hall will reflect on a whirlwind summer. The 19-year-old has been at Chelsea since he was 8, and he went from signing a new long-term contract to joining Newcastle just 2 weeks later. Smart from Chelsea, lock him down to a long-term deal so you can sell him for more. So he's going for a loan now, and then he will go on a permanent next summer. I think in totality, the deal and loan is like £32 million. Amazing deal, really. The move was met from anger with lots of Chelsea fans who are unhappy at losing a club's academy player to a rival. So this was also the case. We spoke about Kovacic to a rival. No one really cared. It was, you know, Man City. Havertz, I know he's not an academy player like Kovacic, but a rival in Arsenal. I mean, people were a bit worried, like, oh God, imagine if Havertz does really well at Arsenal. Hasn't come to pass. And Mason Mount was the one that you compare to United, but we've already spoken about that, and he's, you know, really hasn't made a dent yet. I think he will eventually as United settle, but right now it's very poor. In a nightmare campaign for Chelsea last season, Hall was one of the few positives and impressed. Of course, he looked really good against Manchester City on a couple of occasions. He played left back. Chelsea recognised his potential and initially rejected approaches from clubs, including Newcastle, to tie up him to his first senior deal, which would have given him financial security, and he would have been like, thank you very much. He was linked with a loan move to Palace, and a series of unrelated events helped lead to his eventual exit. Of course, Chelsea saw their relationship with Palace tested over the negotiations of Michael Olise. Yeah, the, I forget his name, the CEO, chairman of Palace. What's his name? Anyway, whatever. He got really annoyed with us for tapping up Olise, and I think they threatened to sue us, and then Olise signed a new deal. So yeah, you know, tensions with Palace currently high, and of course we've done pretty well with Palace over the years, loaning them Batshuayi, Ruben did well there, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and of course Gallagher. The Blues have beat Liverpool to sign Caicedo for 115 million, and we beat them also to sign Romeo Lavia for 55, going up to, 58. Hall is a natural midfielder, and both deals hurt his chances of playing. Having played a lot of left back last season, he had Ben Chilwell, Kukurea, and the lone Ian Maatsen of a competition. And, you know, within hindsight, even Levi Colwill playing left back, but he never really got a sniff in midfield, did he? Chelsea, who spent more than they anticipated to win 2 bidding wars with Liverpool, looked at the academy to raise funds, of course, to make sure we navigate FFP. And we do navigate FFP. We remember before, I think, Todd Boehly even got to Chelsea with Clearlake, he was doing interviews talking about financial fair play, saying it's gritting its teeth now and showing its teeth. He always knew about it. Selling some homegrown players would be pure profit, as we know, on the books, and the last few days of the transfer window, Chelsea accepted offers for, of course, Trevor Chalobah for Forest, which Chalobah said no to because he was being linked with Bayern Munich, so he's like, yeah, why would I go to Forest? Fair enough. Burnley for Maatsen and Newcastle for Hall. Chelsea co-owners, this is interesting. Chelsea co-owners Todd Boehly and Badadek Barley have close relationships with the Reuben brothers, who grew up supporting Chelsea and are part of the ownership at Newcastle, as well as Newcastle co-owners Madrad Godusi and Amanda Staveley, of course. The respective owners negotiated the whole deal directly, with Chalobah and Maatsen deals falling through. Yeah, you know, because you often saw Todd Bowley and Amanda Staveley in like a box together. They do have this relationship. Sort of I think they see Newcastle as a rising power, and they have to see themselves as a re-emerging rising power in a way, Chelsea, after Abramovich and restructuring the club to be sustainable. Hall has already shown for Newcastle that Chelsea may live to regret letting him go. I'm not so sure about this. I know we've been talking about friggin' Alonso Davies, but Alonso Davies and Lewis Hall are very different players. And Lewis Hall, I mean, is he going to be a midfielder or a left back? I'm not so sure. Look, £32 million pure profit for what at the time was an 18-year-old. I guess you could say the same thing about Cole Palmer coming to Chelsea for 40 million, as more as an attacker. Or even like Cole Palmer, he was already like balling out for England under 21s, winning tournaments and stuff. I don't know. I think we all are also missing, and I speak about this on the channel, Lewis Hall's a massive Newcastle United fan. This isn't just us saying, we're selling you, mate, because we're getting 32 million. When he sort of heard it's happening and it's Newcastle, he was like, yes, please, dream come true. There is that factor. His dream transfer to play for his boyhood club, Newcastle, who, by the way, are currently in the Champions League and are a really good team. There is that element of the player wanting to do that, rather than maybe being in a Chelsea rebuild, not knowing what position he's going to play, yada, 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 new coach. That needs to be taken into consideration. But it is interesting that this transfer of Lewis Hall to Newcastle was negotiated directly between the owners, because they have a really good relationship, and that's something to keep your eye on for future footballing things. Alright, let me know what you think. Thank you for joining me today. Comment down below on all the stuff we've spoken about. I love the conversations you guys have in the comment section below, so please do express yourself. Remember to check out Surfshark. Click the link in the top of the description. And yeah, hopefully see you guys back here very soon. Peace.